Welcome to BART's Safety Culture Training and Initiatives Update for 2021. During the duration of this training program, you will frequently hear Safety Management System referred to as SMS.
This SMS training program is sponsored by the System Safety Department and the Chief Safety Officer, Jeff.
There are several purposes for this training. BART wants to refresh key staff on the principles of SMS that were instructed last year. Secondly, this training will connect SMS principles to the current safety culture at BART. Many initiatives are underway to enhance BART's safety culture and implement SMS, which requires contribution from everyone to be successful. Finally, this program was created to comply with CPUC Decision 18-10-020, which mandated that BART perform annual 40-hour safety training for the next 3 years. The CPUC decision was in response to the fatalities of 2 employees which occurred in 2013.
The objective of this SMS training program is to provide BART staff who will be entrusted with the development and compliance monitoring for SMS with the knowledge to further advance BART's safety performance.
Welcome to Module 1, which will refresh you on information shared during last year's Safety Management System training.
The Federal Transit Administration, or FTA, has adopted the principles and methods of Safety Management Systems, or SMS, as the basis for enhancing the safety of public transportation in the United States. BART will follow the principles and methods of SMS in its development of rules, policies, procedures, and daily practice. BART last year completed its state-approved Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan. The plan incorporates SMS principles and methods tailored to the size, complexity, and scope of the public transportation system and the environment in which it operates.
Safety Management System, or SMS, means the formal, top-down, organization-wide approach to managing safety risks and assuring the effectiveness of a transit agency's safety risk mitigation. SMS includes systematic procedures, practices, and policies for managing risks and hazards.
Top-down means safety starts with the BART general manager and works down from there. Organization-wide means everyone in the BART organization has a role to play in safety.
Systematic procedures, practices, and policies are the tools that BART will use to manage safety risks.
Another key term is managing safety risk. Typically, in the past, it wasn't until an incident occurred that an agency focused on the safety concern and worked to resolve it. The investigation of an incident often did not focus on organizational causes, but rather addressed only operational error or equipment failure. This would be defined as investigating a safety risk, not managing a safety risk. Investigating is reactive while managing is proactive.
What does it mean to manage safety risk?
To answer this question, it is helpful to answer these questions during the safety risk management process.
1. What are we managing?
2. What can go wrong?
3. How do we know what can go wrong?
4. What are we doing about it?
5. Is it working?
6. How do we know it's work?
7. What level of risk is acceptable to the organization?
To determine, monitor, and manage safety risk, BART must know what the safety risk thresholds are that apply to operations, budget priorities, oversight agencies, and stakeholders.
The very nature of rail transportation introduces a plethora of hazards on a constant basis, meaning there will always be a level of safety risks present. Our job is to ensure the risk is effectively mitigated to the lowest practical level through a systemic process.
As a reminder, safety management systems are built on 4 main components.
We will now take some time to discuss each component in more detail.
Out of all 4 components of the SMS framework, BART will spend the greatest amount of time on Component 2, Safety Risk Management. However, the first component, Safety Management Policy, is critical in that it empowers BART's safety management system and all who play a role in it. Without an effective policy, the other components do not have the support they need.
A safety management policy statement is a part of BART's task that is distributed to all employees in order to formalize executive leadership's commitments to safety.
A well-thought-out safety management policy statement contains these crucial elements. A safety management policy will be effective if it results in visible evidence of leadership commitment, demonstrated by example. You should be able to know the lines of safety accountability up to the general manager, who signs off on the safety policy. If effective, the SMS activities will be fully resourced, and employees will trust the safety reporting program.
BART's safety policy has 5 SMS-oriented objectives focusing on the reduction of safety risk.
In terms of responsibilities and accountabilities, the Chief Safety Officer has the authority to halt or order the correction of any unsafe practices at BART. Although accountability for safety rests with each employee, supervisor, and manager, the General Manager accepts the ultimate accountability for the district's safety performance across all modes.
It is essential for top management to own the ultimate responsibility for the SMS and BART's safety deficiencies. In turn, the top executive must ensure accountability from line management for safety performance, compliance, and continuous improvement. Line management ensures that agency personnel understand and comply with SMS policies and procedures and their impact on the various disciplines that make up BART.
Safety management is not the sole responsibility of the safety department. That is a reason why accountabilities for all key personnel must be identified and coordinated. The BART task details the accountabilities and responsibilities of the accountable executive, SMS manager, and other key personnel. The task also includes organizational charts detailing chain of command.
In order to successfully implement SMS and build on safety, the accountable executive will
ensure safety concerns are considered in the agency's ongoing budget planning process. Ensure transparency in safety management priorities for the board of directors and for the employees.
Establish guidance on the level of safety risk acceptable to the agency.
Ensure safety management policy statement is appropriate and communicated throughout the agency.
The SMS manager and key personnel will
manage the SMS on behalf of the accountable executive. Direct hazard identification and safety risk evaluation.
Monitor mitigation activities.
Provide periodic reports on safety performance.
Maintain safety documentation, and
plan and organize safety management training.
The management levels that have authority to make decisions regarding safety risk tolerability should be outlined in the task or supporting document. If you are unsure about your authority, it should be expressed with management to determine the best way to formalize responsibility.
Integration with public safety and emergency management ensures that BART and its external partners are prepared for dealing with emergencies and the return to normal operations. Emergency management program plans must be included or referenced in BART's task. The two major preparedness philosophies are represented by two circles that keep repeating.
One circle displays preparedness response recovery mitigation.
The other circle displays the preparedness cycle, which includes the steps plan, organize and equip, train, exercise, and evaluate and improve. BART's safety plan also describes how documentation is managed. Records of all SMS activities, such as those shown, must be kept for at least 3 years.
Out of all 4 components of the SMS framework, BART will spend the greatest amount of time on Component 2, Safety Risk Management.
Safety risk management can be defined as an essential process for identifying hazards and analyzing, assessing, and mitigating safety risk. Safety risk management, or SRM, has 2 parts, hazard identification and analysis, followed by safety risk evaluation and mitigation.
A hazard is any real or potential condition that can cause injury, illness, or death. Damage to or loss of the facilities, equipment, rolling stock, or infrastructure. Or damage to the environment. A hazard is something that might precede or contribute to an actual safety event. Hazards can be identified through many sources including, but not limited to those shown on this slide.
Safety risk management is a continual process. All BART departments are responsible for identifying safety hazards.
All companies start out with goals and objectives combined with a strategy to ensure success. So why do so many companies fail? Why do employees get hurt or sustain fatal injuries? Why do products break or become less reliable?
The answer is practical drift, which is the difference between where we are and where we thought we were. Oftentimes it is unconscious, and we don't even know we have gotten off course. Unfortunately, in most cases something happens like an accident or injury that brings clarity to your current situation. You have drifted off your path and need to do something to correct your course. Many hazards arise due to practical drift, and it is incumbent upon all personnel to identify these cases.
There can be many reasons for practical drift, including, but not limited to, the examples shown here.
It is important to recognize those situations to anticipate issues and try to design them out or develop practices to minimize risk. If you do this more methodically and measurably, you have a greater chance of building a culture where everyone is a part of managing risk. Safety risk can be quantified with a combination of the predicted probability and severity of the consequence of the hazard. The worst foreseeable, but credible, situation should be imagined when defining the risk level.
Shown here is BART's matrix of severity and probability that leads the agency to determine whether risk is at an acceptable level.
Assess the probability of occurrence and the severity of the consequences of hazard. The assessed risk is expressed as an alphanumeric risk assessment code, RAC, which is a combination of one severity category and one probability level. This puts a number on the consequences of hazards and provides a basis for making more effective decisions.
Hazard identification, evaluation, and mitigation of identified hazards must be performed, and the safety risk must be deemed acceptable prior to implementation of these items in the operational system. The SRM process should allow BART to take immediate interim action to mitigate existing safety risks until permanent mitigation can be developed, reviewed, approved by the CPUC, and then implemented. SRM is important for new system designs, changes to existing system designs, new operations or procedures, and modified operations or procedures. What do you think of BART's current safety risk management processes? Do they feature the aspects shown on this slide? An effective safety risk management program will
use all relevant and available data, assess hazards systematically and in a timely manner,
identify trends and actionable information,
rely on subject matter expertise,
provide accountability for risk acceptance,
ensure trained and qualified safety analysts, and
develop meaningful mitigations and effectiveness targets.
Safety risk management feeds into the safety assurance process, the third component of SMS.
Safety assurance can be defined as the processes within BART's safety management system that functions to ensure the implementation and effectiveness of safety risk mitigation, and to ensure that the transit agency meets or exceeds its safety objectives through the collection, analysis, and assessment of information.
Safety assurance will allow BART to know if and how well our mitigations are working. It provides timely safety performance data for data-driven, informed decision-making.
Safety assurance can be broken down into three subcomponents.
1. Safety performance monitoring. 2. Management of change, and
3. Continuous improvement.
Let's take a look at safety performance monitoring first.
Continuous monitoring allows for the ongoing capture of data and information. Collected data and information need to be examined for hazards and measured against safety performance targets.
A robust monitoring program should include items such as field observations, inspections, surveys, and reporting programs.
These activities will capture data that can be used to create safety performance reporting that can measure the effectiveness of SRM mitigations and the safety management system as a whole.
When it comes to safety performance monitoring, here are two keywords.
Safety performance indicators typify the safety status of the system.
Safety performance targets identify level of improvements to be achieved.
Good safety performance indicators are
1. Quantifiable. 2. Representative of what is being measured.
3. Consistent when measuring the same conditions.
4. Detectable through changes in environmental conditions.
5. Easily understood.
6. Capable of data quality control and verification.
7. Manageable total set of measure, metrics, and indicators.
This table displays examples of possible operations performance measures.
The columns break down into category, the performance measure, what type of indicator, whether leading or lagging, and finally who owns and maintains the data. These sources of data can be used for trending and mining potential mitigations. Management of change. If a process for identifying and assessing changes that may introduce new hazards or impact BART's safety performance. If BART determines that a change may impact its safety performance, then BART must evaluate the proposed change through its safety risk management process.
This illustration displays examples of possible elements to evaluate every time that there is a potential system change.
For instance,
when it comes to people, we should consider potential human engineering and fatigue issues.
When it comes to procedures, we should consider potential rules, operating procedures, and maintenance procedures issues.
When it comes to equipment, we should consider potential facility equipment, operating system, and vehicle issues. When it comes to the BART system environment, we should consider fire alarms, train control, traction power, communications, and emergency response systems issues.
This slide illustrates the thought process behind the idea of change management. The first question you ask is, could the change impact safety?
If the answer is a no, you proceed but continue to monitor and measure in case this change ultimately creates an impact on safety. If the answer is yes, you proceed with the SRM or safety risk management process, where you identify all hazards, perform hazard analysis, evaluate the safety risks, and finally mitigate the risks to an acceptable level.
No matter if the answer is yes or no, the system should always be monitored and measured against any potential practical drift.
Continuous improvement is a process by which BART examines safety performance to identify safety deficiencies and carry out a plan to address the identified safety deficiencies.
A corrective action plan, or CAP, should be developed any time BART identifies a safety deficiency, such as through probable and contributing causes of safety events, and the hazard risk assessment process described earlier. Continuous improvement means that BART personnel are always seeking to connect their monitoring and analysis methods to corrective mitigations to enhance safety.
Continuous improvement is a process by which all people are empowered to share ideas for how to improve the safety or effectiveness of work practices, infrastructure, and operations, and applying lessons learned from risk management and safety assurance activities which identify issues that must be corrected. It's a process of always asking the question if something can be improved and acting on the best ideas.
The fourth and final SMS component is safety promotion.
Safety promotion can be defined as the practices endorsing safety throughout BART. It involves safety training, safety messages, operations bulletins and notices, and safety communication supporting safe practice. Safety promotion can be broken down into two subcomponents: safety communication and training.
Safety communication should include information on hazards and safety risks that are relevant to the employee's role and responsibilities. Management should explain reasons that BART introduces or changes to policies, activities, or procedures, as well as when actions are taken in response to reports submitted by the employee. The purpose is to not only convey safety-critical information but to explain why certain changes and decisions were made within the scope of BART's SMS.
Safety communication involves informing employees on hazards and safety risks relevant to their role and responsibilities. This is done through a variety of programs at BART, such as safety messages and newsletters distributed to employees, hosting safety committee meetings with employees and the local community, as well as job site safety inspections and talks, including tailgate safety meetings and toolbox talks.
Remember, Communication is a transaction between at least two individuals. We need to ensure the message was heard and understood. Consider whether written and verbal messages are crucial enough for understanding that a signed confirmation or verbal readback is required.
The second aspect of safety promotion involves fully documenting the competencies and training for each position, and ensuring that personnel meet those competencies.
This slide illustrates the different competencies and training requirements that might be associated with all employees. Each individual group will play a significant and unique role that embodies the training and knowledge needed to feed the safety promotion component of BART's safety management system. Management not only needs to make resources available, they need to be trained and familiarized on the BART SMS, because they must help carry it out.
Safety promotion is effective when
personnel are trained and competent to perform their duties.
The training program is monitored for effectiveness and updated, as needed. Safety communication tools and processes are well defined and used, and
all employees understand their role with respect to safety.
Let's connect these principles of SMS to safety culture.
If fully and effectively implemented, SMS will help BART to enhance its safety culture.
Safety culture is defined as the product of individual and group values, attitudes, perceptions, competencies, and patterns of behavior that can determine the commitment to and the style and proficiency of an organization's safety management system.
While an SMS can guide behaviors and competencies, it cannot regulate attitudes or perceptions. Those can only be transformed over time as employees believe that safety is being managed appropriately and understand their contributions to the system.
Improving a safety culture does not require uprooting all business practices. A renewed focus and definition of safety management activities can allow us to achieve competencies, encourage values, and enforce behavior that lead to improved beliefs among employees. This is not solely the responsibility of management or the safety department, but of every employee at BART.